Let's go. Happy Wednesday,
We
baby.
are
Happy
back.
Wednesday, baby. We back, man. Welcome to Wholesale Hardknocks. I'm like, what episode is this, bro?
28, bro.
Sheesh. Episode 28. 28 straight weeks of just bringing value to you guys live on YouTube every single Wednesday, 4 o'clock Arizona time, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Man, and this is just the beginning. I'm super excited. If you guys don't know, I'm Daryll Ellison. Got my brother, my co-host, the Mike Gomes with me. And
Yes, sir.
today we are going to talk all about direct to seller marketing, how you get started, how you get your leads, how do you systemize it, and then on the back end, how do you close these deals, right? So so Mike, you wanna lead us off, bro, a little bit about this, why this is important, or why
Yes,
we
sir.
talk about
Yo, that's what I was gonna lead off with, bro. You know what I was
this?
gonna lead off with? Why direct to seller is the best strategy. And
I like it.
why I'm not gonna go bash everybody else and bash all the other strategies, but this is why I prefer direct to seller. But before I go there, me and Dow had a conversation last week and we're like, dang, I think we should really start doing some like niche episodes where we talk about something really specific because we had an episode with Jonah Corchin and he does direct to agent. Direct to seller is better. But anyways, we he did an episode just talking about direct to agent and it got a lot of traction. Like a lot of people really liked it. A lot of people got a lot of value. So we're like, dude, there's so many different little niches in real estate in general. There's multifamily investing. There's just direct to seller wholesaling. There's going directly to agents. There's just being a dispo person. There's doing it virtually. Like there's so many different things that get people excited. So we're like, why don't we really hone in on the niches? Because the riches are in the niches. You know
Say
what I'm
that one more
saying?
time, bro.
The riches are in the niches. You know
Straight
what I'm
up.
saying?
Straight up.
So let's rock and roll. First off, direct to seller is my favorite way to wholesale. Reason being is, you know what? Before I go down all the, before I go down the road of telling you guys why I think it is, it's important for you to know that I started off with my personality, right? Like it's important for you to really truly understand your personality before you go hammer a strategy. Actually, let me back up a little bit. It's important for you to understand your personality so that you have an understanding of what strategies to trickle into. Because a lot of people don't, they have no idea. They might not even understand the personality, right? Now that I'm talking about it. So I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm not going to tell somebody to just go hammer something. I would say go taste some things if you're confused, because a lot of people are confused. They don't know what the heck, like what they would like. So I would say go taste a couple things. And then once you're like, I love talking to sellers, let's triple down on it. Then you triple down on it. So go find out what um, personality type you are and which strategy best fits that personality. For me, I love going out and presenting. I love talking to sellers. I love negotiating. Like that shit gets me excited. I love going on site appointments. Like that's me. I was a barber before. I've done door to door type of sales before. Like it's what fits my personality. Is what is best for me. A lot of other people, like I know of a hard money lender who he's really well versed on talking to buyers, right? And he has a really, really big buyers list, buyers like connection list with the people that he gets hard money from, that he gives hard money to. So somebody like that, he has a personality that already is attracted to talking to buyers. So maybe his strategy is going to be being a dispo wholesaler and just talking to buyers all day and building the buyers list, right? Um, so that's the first thing. I recognize for me, I love talking to people and I love negotiating. I love sales. So direct to seller was the best route for me to go. What do you think, Darren?
I agree, bro. I think so. The reason why I think direct to seller is the best way to go. I agree with you with the personality type, um, right? But the reason why I think direct to seller is the best way to go is a little different, right? Like, because me, I started with JV, right?
Mhm.
I started with direct to seller, and I got into JV really heavily, but that was out of necessity, right? I had no money. Um, now when I transitioned a few months back to direct to seller, and direct to seller is now my favorite my favorite strategy. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because it's the opportunity to scale is 10x, right? Like it's so much easier to scale, and I'm not gonna say easier. It's so much more simple to scale a direct to seller model rather than a JV model, right? Or model with real estate agents, right? Because you're not dependent on anybody else but yourself right now, right? Like with direct to seller, it's like you put money in, you put this amount in, you should get this amount out, right? Like it's proven, right? And if you're not getting this amount out, that's something that you're not doing correctly with your acquisition side or your lead management, stuff like that, right? So
Mhm.
that's why I like it, because where I'm planning on going, you can't do that with free leads. You,
I
you just
love it.
can't.
So that's the road that I was going to go down. But at least Daryl knows that he loves talking to people and he loves sales and he loves negotiating. Like that shit gets him
Without a
excited.
doubt. Without a doubt.
So think about that when it comes to what we're talking about, right? There's kind of two different categories. There's lead generation and then there's conversion. You know what I mean? Lead generation for you in the beginning, where you were starting your business, was JV, which means you have somebody else go do the direct to sell and they send you leads. And that's how
Right.
you were generating the leads.
I was
But
still
you're
direct to seller.
exactly. But you had a lead generation direct to seller business, right?
Exactly. I wasn't, so yeah. So people were generating the leads. They were direct to seller, right? And when we
Exactly. Yep.
exactly when they send it over to us, I'm talking to the seller directly. Like when we get it under contract,
Exactly. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
on a contract with the seller. You know.
So your conversion is directly to the seller,
Exactly.
rather than like somebody that's going that their conversion, like the way they make money is converting a buyer to sign an assignment contract, right?
Exactly.
Like it's a little bit different. So your conversion strategy was direct to seller. The lead
Right.
gen was a little bit different. It was JV. It was
And
going out building a personal brand and having people send you leads.
And to backtrack, bro, and kind of to play the devil's advocate to what you said, right? I don't think your personality type needs to be you like negotiating, you like talking to sellers, you like doing all that to go direct to seller, right? There's plenty of people who are direct to seller, and I've noticed this from experience, right? Because
Mhm.
they don't want to close the deals, right? They just want to generate leads. They're like, my superpower is I'm really awesome at generating leads, managing VAs, everything. I could talk to sellers, but that's not what I like to do, right? But they understand that they need to generate leads, right? So what they do is they generate a shitload of leads, and then they pass them off to somebody who has an acquisition business that enjoys closing it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
100%.
yeah, yeah,
So your personality essentially tells you where you best fit in the strategy. That
yeah,
could be like for me, I best fit in my direct to seller business right now at the moment is coaching my sales team and stuff like that. It used to be me talking to all the sellers all the time.
yep,
Now, where my business partner best fits is pulling the data and looking at all the analytics and managing the VAs and stuff like that, right? That's where he best fits. But to talk about just direct to seller marketing and conversion, the main reason for me why I like it is just because what Daryl said. It's scalable, it's controllable, it's measurable. You understand something. You put something into it, aka let's just say it's 10,000 bucks you put into it a month. You know you're going to get a return on that $10,000 every single month. And it's repetitive, and you're able to control where you do it. You want to do this business in Massachusetts, great. You can do this business in Massachusetts. If you want to switch gears and go to Arizona, boom, you can do that. Okay, with like a snap of a finger. Like literally, if I wanted to start generating Arizona leads tomorrow, I could hop on the phone with my business partner and be like, "Bro, we need to shoot the cannon over to AZ."
bro. We literally just did that.
Mhm.
So like it. We're still marketing in Tampa, right? But we're trying to figure out how do we hit this 10 deals a month, right?
You're marketing in Tampa, dog.
Yeah,
You know
not
I'm
just
buying
marketing.
it.
I'm taking Tampa over, bro.
I'm
Taking
buying in
taking it.
Tampa, dog.
What do you say?
I'm buying in Tampa.
Well, let's go. I actually have. You look. What's up? I have a deal right now.
Say no more.
In Tampa. And we have two. No, we have four in Tampa right now under
Dang,
contract.
bro.
Bro, just started marketing 2 months ago. Like And it's crazy. So I told him,
your direct to seller got 4 contracts in Tampa in the past 2 months of just starting.
yeah.
And direct to seller isn't the best way to go.
And it's so good. I went to my partner and I'm like, bro, we need to duplicate this. He's like, okay, pick a market. I said, I'm in Arizona. Let's do Phoenix. He's like, cool. We'll have it set up by Tuesday. He's like, you just bring the money. I'll set everything else up. I'm like, perfect. Let's make it happen.
Fire. So good. So that's the thing. It's so scalable. It's not dependent on your brand. It's not dependent on other people. Literally, you just put money into it, you manage your team, and something comes out every single month. That's why I like direct to seller. So let's talk about what direct to seller is. Direct to seller is literally what it says: going directly to a seller and asking them, would they ever sell their property? So for me, I have never cold called or texted in my life. I've never cold called the seller. I've never did a text blast. I never did anything like that. I always just had a virtual assistant who was doing that for me. So essentially in the beginning, what I did is I tried doing a bunch of different types of direct to seller marketing. I tried doing radio ads. I tried doing direct mail. I tried doing PPC and stuff, and I failed miserably. Only generated 1 lead in 4 months. And then in those 4 months, I realized that, hey, I have a whole stack of mailers that I need to call, right? Like there's a stack of mailers that were from vacant properties that got sent back to my office. And I'm like, dang, I need to call all these people. But there ain't no way I'm calling these people. So I need to hire a virtual assistant. Hired a virtual assistant literally that day that I saw the stack of mailers on my desk. That same day, probably 2 or 3 days later, I started generating leads. Karen on my team, she's still on my team. She came on my team and I said, Karen, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Like, what did you do with your other team? And she's like, oh, I'm using this, that, and the other for all my systems with the other team. So what did I do? I took all the things that she said and I went on YouTube. I figured out how to implement them and got Karen started that day. And she started generating leads like 1 or 2 days later, which is really dope. That's why direct to sell is dope. And I didn't know.
Let's back up. Sorry not to cut you off, bro, but some people may not even know. Let's assume that our audience knows nothing, right? What's a virtual assistant, and how does that help you? Like who is Karen?
Love it.
Yeah.
So I looked at those stack of mailers and I was like, there's literally like 200 pieces of mail right here. How the hell do I call these people? So I started thinking about it. I'm like, I've heard of this thing called skip tracing, where you can essentially get all the information for a prospect and you can get their email and you can get their phone number and all these things. But there ain't no way I'm calling 200 people. So what did I do? I went on Facebook and I typed in virtual assistant because I heard of it on a YouTube channel like maybe a month before that. And I heard on a YouTube channel like, hey, I have virtual assistants out in the Philippines doing my marketing. Like they work virtually. They work out in a whole nother country, right? And they literally take your systems and they just start calling people. That's it. Like have you ever seen a call center?
Why not just get people in the States to do it though?
You really want to know?
Yeah.
Because the people in the States suck. Literally. The people in the States, their work ethic sucks. Yeah. I promise, bro, Karen, my acquisition manager, is more of a badass salesperson than the freaking top 25% of salespeople in this business, because she is much more consistent.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Like she is the most consistent worker I've ever had in my life. I've had a bunch of different businesses and I've done a bunch of different side hustles and stuff. I've never had a more consistent worker than her. Like she's a gangster. She's a badass.
Bro, I used to beg my American salespeople to make 50 calls a day, which is nothing. You can make 50 calls in an hour. Mm-hmm. I used to beg them to make 50 calls a day. Bro, while I'm begging them to do that, right? While my virtual assistant in the Philippines is making 200 calls every single day, not complaining, not missing a beat, not doing anything wrong, right? Mm-hmm. And first person in the meeting every single day, like always looking to get better, always looking to progress. And Americans just don't do it, bro. What they're going to do is they're going to come into your system. They're going to take everything that you know and go implement it in their own business. Right?
Yeah, which I have no problem with. Like, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, to your point, like, people get nervous hiring from a different culture, but they don't understand that culture. They're freaking hustlers, bro. Like, I promise you, mark my words, my VAs will have their own businesses like popping. They will be at the top of the food chain. Matter of fact, they're already at the top of the food chain. Like Karen, she's getting commission. You know what I'm saying? That's different out in the Philippines. She's getting real money. Like she's helping her family out like crazy. So they're going to end up being like top notch. And I promise you, they're going to own businesses. Like Matt Beard, he has this company called Start Virtual. He talked about I think it was one of his first VAs or something like that. But he saw the hustle and grind in this dude. And he literally gave this virtual assistant an opportunity to start a business. And that's how Start Virtual happened.
For sure.
This guy, I think his name is Daryll, actually. Daryll, he was on our podcast. Matt Beard was on our podcast. Daryll was like a badass virtual assistant. And he started a call center in his freaking living room.
Tough. That's awesome.
So they're gangster.
And one of the most important things that I got from Matt Beard, if you guys didn't watch that episode, make sure you go back and watch that episode because it's super important, right? If we're talking direct to seller marketing, if you're doing direct to seller marketing, like other people will tell you differently, right? But me and Mike will tell you right now, don't freaking cold call yourself. Get a virtual assistant, right? Get a virtual assistant. It's only going to save your life. If not, don't do direct to seller. Come back next week or a couple weeks after that, and we'll talk about our free lead generation. And there's other videos that we've done that talked about free lead generation, right? If you don't have the money, if that's an issue, do free lead generation, do JV. But if you're seriously about to do direct to seller, get virtual assistants, right? And when you get virtual assistants, it is important, super, super important to do not treat them like just a regular person. Like, don't treat them like a virtual assistant. Treat them like people, like your family, right? And I'm telling you, once you do that, they will literally run through walls for you. They would do anything for you, right? You pay them good, you treat them like family, you always help them learn, right, and continue their education. These people are going to do literally anything for you, anything. 100%. So keep that in mind. Yeah,
and like vice versa, I will do anything for them.
Exactly.
Like one of our virtual assistants, our lead manager right now is pregnant, and she's going to have to go on leave. Like, dude, we're going to hook her up while she's on leave. You know what I'm saying? Most of the companies in the Philippines are not going to help them out in that, right?
Not at all.
They probably don't have that policy like America does.
No.
But I'm going to make sure that she's taken care of while she goes through that pregnancy. So it's like, it's a two-way street. And that's how, even if you might be watching this and you might be like, yo, I freaking hate real estate. I just like business. Even if you're operating a business, if you're operating a acai bowl stand or something like that, like you want to treat your employees with love.
Without a doubt.
That's it. Here's the thing. You know what it is, bro? Your employees, actually, I'm going to stop calling them employees. They're team members and family members. They do not work for you. You work for them.
1,000%.
That's 1,000%. If you have that mindset going into it, then they're going to go to bat for you. They're going to go to war for you. But here's the thing. Here's why Daryl's saying definitely hire a virtual assistant is because lead generation is just marketing. All marketing is like a McDonald's sign saying, hey, we have dollar cheeseburgers. Right? So let's just say you wanted to start a burger business and you were going to start Daryl's barbecue burgers or whatever, right? Would you, when you started that business, would you sit in the front of in the store and hold a sign up saying we have, badass barbecue burgers?
I wouldn't. No, I'd put somebody in that spot without a doubt. Yeah.
Or you might just stick the freaking thing in the ground.
Exactly.
Right? You know what I'm saying? That's all prospecting is. It's just calling somebody. It's such a simple conversation. It's, hey, would you ever sell your property? Okay, cool. What's got you interested in selling? Got it. What price do you want? Okay, when do you want to sell? All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this information. I'm going to send it off to my team. Boom. Lead has now been generated. That's like a 2 or 3 minute conversation.
Without a doubt.
That's it. That's all that conversation needs to be. And then it goes down the chain from there. And somebody might say, because I was talking to I coached a class last night and they were cold calling themselves, right? And I like, I'm not going to just tell somebody not to cold call. Like, it is what it is. If that's what you've been taught and that's what you've been doing, and that's how you think you got to get your foot in the door and take action and practice and stuff like that, I think it's a good idea to maybe utilize some time to go practice and stuff. But what I told him is I was like, dude, all you need to have is like a 2 or 3 minute conversation with these people. Put it in your system and tell them you'll get back to them later, because they have to go through some sort of process. You know what I mean? Like in our business, it goes through a process. A lead is generated, then it goes to our lead manager, then it goes to our salespeople.
Yep.
If you don't have a big team like that, you have to create that on your own. So you have a quick 2 or 3 minute conversation with the seller. If you're cold calling and texting, like I said, I'm not going to tell you not to do it, but I would suggest you not do it, because why would you sit in front of Daryl's barbecue with just a sign that says we have badass burgers, right? Doesn't really make sense. If that's how you think that you should be spending your time, then by all means. If you think that you're gonna, have a better chance of getting some practice and stuff, then great, do it. I don't think that that's the case. I would rather go out and hustle and try to do whatever it takes to save up freaking $5,000 that you're willing to just walk away from and build the systems, right? And go and save that $5,000 and go buy a sign. Okay. That's what I would do, just in my opinion. Okay.
For sure. But if you guys are sitting here saying, I don't got the money, or let me wait till I close a couple of deals first and then do it. That's like saying you're going to lose weight before you get on a treadmill and start running. Right. Like on the money, make it happen. Right. If you're to your point, Mike, if you're going to cold call yourself, right? Because I started off cold calling myself. I got my first 2-3 deals cold calling. Right. But you need to be different. First of all, you need to have a different type of mindset that, like, I used to get excited when somebody told me no, when somebody cussed me out, when somebody just did me crazy. I used to get excited about that and happy about that. If you're not ready to do that, then you shouldn't be cold calling. If you're sensitive, you shouldn't be cold calling. If you're impatient, you shouldn't be in real estate at all.
Word. So, I mean, to your point, if somebody is going to cold call, here's what I would suggest. I would suggest be a freaking business owner, dog. Go out and hustle and make some freaking money and invest it back into your business, right? Like, are you a freaking hustler or not? That's what it's going to take to really get this business off the ground. Are you willing to freaking put your money where your mouth is and spend some freaking money? If you're not, then it's like, what are we here? What are we doing, yo? We don't know. Like, I don't want to go down that road and people are going to be like, Mike, you're an asshole. You think that you just need money and all this stuff. No, yo, it's like, it's the principle. It's like, I would put it this way. If I was at dead zero, the first thing that I would do would not be cold call. The first thing that I would do is find out some freaking hustle that I can go make a quick buck. And I would save up some freaking money so that I can do the business legit, right?
Bro,
and then
go ahead.
Then what I'm saying is it's okay to cold call, maybe for practice or to fill in your time, because here's what's going to happen. If you only have one virtual assistant, right? And that's all you need in the beginning. If you have one virtual assistant generating you leads, they're probably going to generate you about 2 or 3 leads. And in the first couple months, it's going to take a while for your pipeline to grow. And it's going to take a while for you to grow a pipeline that you have to follow up with, and that's going to take your time. So what I would be doing is I would be allowing that virtual assistant to do her thing, generate maybe 1 or 2 leads a day, follow up with those leads. It's not going to take too much of your time. And then in that other time, I would be doing everything else sales. I would be doing role plays with other investors. I would be maybe cold calling if that's what you want to do for practice. I would be reading all the sales books. I would be listening to a bunch of sales training. I would literally do anything and everything sales so that you start building out your sales process for when your pipeline is grown.
1,000%. I agree. And even if so, I remember when I left my last partnership, right? And I'm like, damn, how do I how do I start a business? And this is what you were saying, bro. Be a business owner, right? Part of being a business owner, one of the biggest parts of being a business owner is you got to be a problem solver, right? You can't stay stagnant. You got to just make shit happen, right? And there's a point where I'm like, damn, like, what do I do to make money, right? I understand direct to seller will help me get leads and deals, and it can move fast, right? But I didn't have the money. So what did I do, bro? I literally found somebody who had a dialer, but they weren't using it, right? I'm like, cool. I'm not about to cold call, but here's what I do know. I know a few people who would love to have a dialer, and they sit here and they hand dial every single day, right? So what did I do? I connected the person who's hand dialing, connected the person who has a dialer, say, hey, you guys be friends. I'm going to provide you guys lists, and you guys will get paid off of every list, every deal that we generate, right? So, what else?
Bro.
You
That's
also
being resourceful and being a badass business owner.
But there's more, bro. Because look, you also need to buy lists and skip trace lists that I didn't have money for. So what else did I do? I found somebody else who had lists that were not doing anything with it, right? And I put it together. Now, I didn't get a deal from that because people just weren't as consistent. Maybe if I would have got a couple cold callers to do it, I probably would have got more leads. But the moral of the story is just make the shit happen.
It's the principle, bro.
Yeah. Just make it happen.
I've never had this shit figured out.
Never.
I still don't, and I never will.
But you're swinging.
Exactly, but I'm always swinging back. Like
always swinging.
I'm always trying to figure the hell out. You know what I'm saying? So, right. Here's what's important. If you're going to go direct to seller, you need to understand sales, right? So what me and Daryll are talking about, like, yo, go freaking save up the money and freaking do some badass shit. That is for somebody who, going back to the first thing I said, that is for somebody who knows that they're a purebred entrepreneur like myself that could never work for somebody. I couldn't. If somebody, like, I could not go into somebody else's business and be a lead manager or be an acquisition manager. It just wouldn't work. I'd be there for like 2 days and I'd be like, yo, bro, this ain't for me. And I would do it. I know that about my personality. So that's why I'm giving that advice. But that advice is not the best for everybody. Some people are different. Some people learn differently. They need to go in the business and do the thing and see another business, and that's cool. So if that's what you're going to do, right. If that's what you're going to do, go really learn it from somebody that's doing the thing.
Yep.
But know that from your personality. So Daryll, like, for you, what did you learn? You went into a direct to seller business, right?
Funny enough, no. They were JV, which is why
they were talking to sellers.
Direct to seller. We're talking to sellers, but their lead generation was JV, right? Which is why my business looked like it did up until a few months ago. You know,
cool. So you really truly understood direct to seller sales.
I understood the shit out of sales. Without a doubt.
And that's what's important. And the reason why I'm saying that, I'm saying it like I'm screaming at a younger version of myself, because I spent a shit ton of money in the beginning thinking that this business was so simple that I just put money in and it came back. I didn't know that I had to know how to convert.
Without a doubt.
Here's what I thought. It would be like not knowing how to mow lawns and buying all the equipment to mow lawns and spending all the ads and stuff on getting those clients, and then you have no idea how to operate the freaking lawnmower.
Well, to bring it back to your first analogy, bro, it's like you put the stand in the yard in front of the burger shop, right? Now you have all these customers coming in, all these leads coming in, but your burgers are shit. Or you don't even know how to make burgers, right?
You don't even know how to turn on the grill.
Exactly. So now it's like, what the hell? Right? I just generated these leads for nothing, right? So you have the two most important parts of real estate are you have marketing, which is lead generation. It's a whole business in itself, right? That's why I recommend personally, which Mike did this, I did this, you outsource. You find somebody whose job is to generate leads. If you're that person, if it's your job to generate leads, you learn how to be the best lead generator on the planet, right? That should be all you focus on. And you need to find a badass closer like Mike, right, to bring onto your team. And you say, hey, I have a shitload of leads, right? I know how to generate leads, and I just need somebody to close them, right? Could that be you? Right. On the other hand, if you're just this badass closer, right, and you just need leads, find somebody who's generating direct to seller leads, and you plug yourself in that way, right? Or if you want to just do it on your own, do it on your own, right? But just know that you need to. This is a marketing business, and you have an acquisitions business, right? Those are two different things. Plus, then you have your dispo side and your TC. So I definitely don't recommend doing it on your own, but I recommend finding somebody who is a badass at marketing. You become a badass at sales, or vice versa, right? And you join forces and figure that shit out together.
100%. I love that. So that's what's so important to understand about direct to seller is the marketing versus the conversion and sales. They're completely two different things. To Daryl's point. So you just have to fill up both buckets. Doesn't really make sense, especially in the beginning, for you to fill up both of the buckets at the same time. So maybe somebody has a shit ton of leads and you know how to close, then great, go find somebody that has a shit ton of leads. Or vice versa. Maybe you have a shit ton of leads, but you're like, I don't want to close them. Boom, do that. So for me, what happened is I tried doing absolutely everything. And I hustled it out, and I was making decent money. I was getting a deal like every 6 weeks or something, but it was not a scale business. I would have burnt out. Like if I didn't find my business partner who is a master in the marketing department, I would have burnt out. I would have said, screw this business. Like, I'm just turning my wheels here because I was trying to fill up both buckets at once. Right. Yep. So I'm just saying, like, me and Daryl are just talking from experience. We went through the thing. We lost money. We fucked up. We spent a lot of time. And I'd rather just pay it forward so somebody doesn't have to go through that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's important to understand the difference between marketing, which is asking a seller, hey, would you ever sell your property? There's a lot of things that go into having that conversation, like pulling lists and importing the data, getting your dialer.
Let's get into that a little bit, bro. Let's give them like literally a step-by-step on how to literally pull a list, start getting leads, right? And then I don't know if we'll have time to talk about the conversion aspect of it, but let's talk a little bit about like how to even generate leads in the first place.
I love it.
Let's do it. While you're doing that, we got some comments. Jasper, my guy, he says, I want to become a better closer. I feel like I'm getting the reps, but I'm also running around in circles. Just wanted to see if you guys had any advice on that. Well, I have a question for you, Mr. Jasper. Did you watch me and Mike's sales training masterclass that we have posted here on our YouTube channel? I think if you do that, you would not be running in circles, bro. I think you would have these sellers in the palm of your hand, literally.
That's it. What me and Daryl went over was essentially a process, right? Yeah. And in this process, there's a bunch of buckets that you have to fill up. So right now, when my sales team brings me a lead and they're stuck, I just refer back to a bucket. And you'll see those buckets in that video that Daryl's talking about. I refer back to a bucket and I say, hey, bro, this bucket wasn't filled up. What can we do to ask the seller a different type of question to fill that bucket up? And that's how we go over leads and stuff, and how we figure out how we get the leads to the finish line. And once you have a process like that, there's no questions. Now, right? Once you have the process down, you know which buckets that you have to fill. Now there's just strategies on how to fill those buckets. And that's like tonality, pausing, third-party stories, like stuff like that. But to Daryl's point, all that stuff is in the sales training. So if you type in on YouTube, Wholesale Hardknocks sales training,
you'll make it easy for him, bro.
Yeah, drop the link.
Drop the link. Oh, we both posted at the same time, bro. Great minds think alike, big dog.
Love it.
Yeah. So Jasper, yeah, go ahead, watch those sales training videos, bro. Honestly, we should probably take that down, bro, and charge like $1,000 for that
I'm
video.
not gonna do that to the people, man. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that to them because there'd be
I
some
don't know,
people.
bro. I've been trying to figure out some more digital products to have, bro. That might have to be one of them. So Jasper, you may want to hurry up, bro.
You better hurry up, bro. Screen record it.
Yeah.
Okay, so for lead gen, right? What are the things that you need? Let's go let's talk about this, Daryl. If you wanted to generate a lead tomorrow, and let's just say you wanted to generate a lead tomorrow. Like, what is the first thing that you're going to do to get yourself set up to generate a lead tomorrow? You have to figure this out tonight. You have to start doing things tonight.
We're assuming that we have money, right?
Yeah, let's just say you have $1,000.
$1,000. Okay, perfect. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a VA.
Okay.
Very first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get a virtual assistant. Well, I actually do that simultaneously, right? Things you need one, a dialer. You need some type of a phone, dialer, computer, some type of way to call these people.
I like this, bro. I like the virtual assistant thing for a second. Let's stick here because not a lot of people know where to find these.
Okay, let's do it. Let's talk about it.
So you could literally type in on Google virtual assistant agencies, and I guarantee hundreds of them will pop up. Yeah. Or you go to places like Upwork or even Facebook. This is where I found my first VA. Facebook. What happened with me is I found my first VA from Facebook. Somebody referred me to an agency on Facebook, and then I internally grew from there, just from people that I essentially got away from the agency, okay? And then I had my team that I was paying them instead of through the agency, I was paying them directly. And the agency, and then from there, my team just grew internally. Like the team members that I had on, they love us so much that they wanted to refer their family members and their friends and everything to the team. And that's how our virtual assistant team has grown. But
bro, I 1,000% recommend that first one, agencies. Especially when you're first starting off. We use Elite Virtual. They're an agency. Hit me up if you wanna get some VAs from Elite Virtual. I'll connect you with the owners and the team with them. They're freaking awesome. But I definitely 1,000% go with an agency, but vet an agency, right? You need to know people who are actually doing deals with them, who are actually working with them. Because I'll tell you a story, bro. I was working with an agency out of the Philippines, right? So they all worked in the Philippines. The owner worked in the Philippines, everything, right? Was referred to them by another sub-2 student, and I'm like, all right, cool. So we're going into it. We're about 2 months into it, right? Sub-2 student who recommended him to me, he started like a month before me, right? He gave me a call. He's like, yo, bro, I'm sorry, but I think I may have got you mixed up with a bad VA company, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, wow, what happened? So he said on the 90-day mark, right? He said he got a random call from the owner saying that his virtual assistant just randomly quit. Right, mind you, he had a meeting with the virtual assistant the day before. Nothing came up. The virtual assistant was great, like happy, perfect. Right, everything's good. He had no suspicion that the VA was going to quit. Next, thing you know, she said they quit, right, just randomly, right, and they wanted to assign him another VA, right. So he's like, all right, cool, blah blah blah. Literally a month later, bro, 30 days on my 90-day mark, I get the same exact call. My VA just randomly quit. She was tired of the commute, blah, blah, blah. She never communicated any of this with me, right? Well, we found out what they were doing were they're using these companies to train their virtual assistants, right? We train them up. They use my expertise to train her up, right? And in 90 days, they took her and they reassigned her to somebody else, right? And they want
market price.
at a marked up price, right?
Dang.
And what they want you to do is continue to train their VAs for them.
That's
Right?
crazy, bro.
I was
Yeah,
pissed.
so I highly recommend, and this is where I have a tough time because people ask me for VAs all the time.
Yeah.
And I grew internally, so I don't really have an agency that I can recommend. But if Daryl's saying something like Elite Virtual is good, I would listen to Daryl. I would listen to somebody that has actually gotten deals from that agency, because a lot of these agencies, just like Daryl said, they play games. They stink. That's why I got away from them. I got super lucky. Like
the guys at Elite, they're not playing any games.
Word.
Good friends of mine, they get you any VA you need. So
I freaking love it.
heck yeah.
Cool.
I
So
love
now
it.
that you have found this virtual assistant to generate
One more thing, bro. Let me talk on the virtual assistants real quick. Not to cut you off, bro, but
no, you're good.
Get a virtual assistant, right? Especially from these agencies. What I see a lot of people, they make a mistake of saying, "Oh, I got this from an agency. I don't need to train them," right? Because the agency trains the VAs, right? No, you still must interview your VA, right? You need to make sure that they're a good fit for you, that you actually vibe with this person, that you're not gonna hate your life every time you talk to this person, because that's super important, right? And you need to make sure that these people are actually trained, right? So that means it takes some work on your side as well to actually learn what you're teaching, right? So you can be able to teach these virtual assistants and put them in the best position to succeed, right? Because remember, now this is bigger than you, right? You just hire somebody who they have a family as well, right? So forget you not eating if you don't get a deal. If you don't get a deal, your employees' children aren't eating. That's how I think of it, So you got to put them in the best position to succeed. The best.
Yeah, it's your responsibility.
It is.
100%. Love it. So now that you have a virtual assistant that you have in the pipeline, what else do you need? So let's just say it's 3 p.m. on Wednesday. You need to start generating leads on Thursday. And now 3 p.m. hit and you found a virtual assistant and they're ready to be onboarded tomorrow morning.
Yep.
What do you need to get ready by tomorrow morning in order for that virtual assistant to start generating you leads on Thursday?
So what I would do, if I absolutely need to generate leads super fast without having to train too much, without having to go through too much, I would, instead of a dialer, I would get a texting platform. And this is me personally, right? You can do whatever you want. You can send direct mail if you want, right? But me personally, I would get a texting platform. And what you can do, well, if you don't know what Text Blast is, this is literally, you can send probably close to 1,000 texts a day, right? So you'll pre-generate your text messages. You'll put in like 7, 8 different templates pretty much, and you'll just push a button, right? And the text just gets sent out. And I'd have my VA do this, right? Literally as soon as somebody responds, I'm sorry, that we're going a little ahead. We're going a little ahead. I'm gonna get a text blast platform, right? And the next thing I'm gonna do is buy a list, right? Skip trace the list. Then we're gonna text it.
So before that, you get this the text blast platform.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pull a list. So what Daryl's saying is there's these platforms where, and one of them that I use is batchleads.io, where you can implement this list that you pull, and you can just text them, like literally push a button, and it texts a bunch of people at the same time. Okay. But in order to push that button, you have to implement this list. So you pull a list. This list is going to have a couple different things. It's going to have a seller's name, a seller's address, and the seller's phone number. Those are the 3 main things that this list is going to consist of that you put in the Text Blast platform.
Is the phone number? Yeah,
to back up, that's not what this has. This list only has the seller's name and the seller's address. The last thing that you need is a phone number. So you're going to pull the list that has the seller's name and the seller's address. After you do that, you do something called skip trace. And you skip trace this list.
So skip trace, that's like skipping and like drawing pictures, like tracing pictures and stuff.
So you pull the list Now you have names and addresses. Then you take those addresses and you put them in the skip trace software that pulls data. That pulls it's like it puts the names in the addresses almost in like a white pages. Remember the white pages, the yellow pages, the phone books?
Yeah.
It essentially now you have a phone book once you put it through a skip trace software with addresses, right? So now you have data. Now you have data that you can implement into your text blast platform, right? So where would you go from here, Dal?
You have any? Did we talk about any platforms that we could use to skip trace yet?
No.
Okay.
What would you recommend?
So I got to get my partner's skip trace platform. He actually has his own platform that we use, which is really good. But the basics, right? If you want to start like today, I would say like the ones off the top of my head, batch leads, they're really good. Prop stream, they're really good. Or batch is batch skip tracing, something like that, right? They're really good. Prop stream. Skip matrix, right? They're all really the same thing at the end of the day, right? You just need to get the phone numbers, right? Some may be cheaper, some may be more expensive. You just need phone numbers. Google, yeah.
Like all this stuff you can literally Google. You guys are hearing us like, what the heck is skip trace?
Yeah.
Google it. So you now have phone numbers, addresses, names. Now what happens?
Now it's time to put that work in. That's the easy part. Now it's time to grind, right? So what we got the text blast platform. Now what you need to do with that, right? Just to add a little context to that, you need to buy phone numbers, right? It makes sense to buy numbers in the area that you're marketing, right? Next week we're actually gonna have Toddy Virtual on here. Virtual Toddy, I don't know if that's her name, but she's gonna talk about like virtual wholesaling, right? So it's important, like if you're going virtual, to have phone numbers that are in that market, right? So like I live in Arizona, I would want to call with the Arizona phone number because people are more than likely to pick up an Arizona number rather than a freaking Wisconsin number. You know what I'm saying? So you got to buy phone numbers that are in your area, and then it's time to text, right? It's time to set up your templates. It's time to text or cold call, whatever you choose, right? Like I said, if I want to get leads tomorrow, I'm going to text and I'm going to set my VA up to have them literally text 1,000 texts a day. As a lead comes in, as soon as somebody says they would even consider selling, we're going to get them on the phone, right? So I would instruct my VA to not even to send a text back. If somebody says, yes, I would consider selling this property, her job will now be to get me on a phone call. Send this number to me, send this text to me, send this to me somehow, however we have it set up, so I can get on the phone with them and figure out what the hell is going on, right? Like if once you get a bigger team, then you can get a lead manager and you can be the closer yourself, right? But you already replaced the lead generator part. You don't have to generate the lead. Now you got to put the other two hats on, right? You got to actually manage the lead and close the lead now, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, now it's time to get some leads, right? And just blast away. This is where the grind happens, because you got to remember, right? We pulled a list. So think about a list of like 10,000, 20,000 people. I know we pull a pretty big list, right? Probably, what would you say, Mike? A tenth of that list, or what, like 20% of that list actually want to sell? It's not a big number. It's not a big number that wants to sell.
Smaller, bro.
Probably, most likely.
My business partner have a better idea of that, but probably smaller. It's not that many. You're sending out 1,000 a day. Think about that. You're sending out 1,000 a day, and you get like 1 or 2 leads.
Exactly. And now these leads, most of these leads, they're not even really leads, right? Because now you have different categories. You have hot, warm, cold. A lot of these leads are cold when you're starting off, right? Mm-hmm. When you have a new VA who's learning, right? You're newer, you're learning. A lot of the leads are cold. right? I know for us, we get all of our leads are hot. They get pushed through to acquisitions, but that's because we have systems set up to where, and our VAs are trained, and we have like systems and processes set up to where like no bad lead's going to get sent over, right? But you'll get there. You'll get there eventually. Starting off,
You
you
just
got
need
to
to generate a lead. You need to get on the phone and start talking to some people. So to
do.
Daryl's point, there's a lot of things that go into this. This is where your virtual assistant is gonna hang out. This is like her office, right? This is where she gets her work done. This is where if she was like digging holes, this would be where she was digging the holes for her work, right? That's where she works. So she's gonna text a bunch of people. She's gonna text 1,000 people in a day. Just like Daryl said, once somebody even is interested, you're going to tell her to hop on the phone immediately. If that phone call goes like, hey, I do want to sell my property, then get that over to yourself ASAP if you're doing the lead management.
Yep.
One thing I would do also to prepare your VA, because you have all this stuff, but your VA might not be prepared, even though they're with an agency, you're going to want a script. So you're going to want to let your VA know what you're looking for out of these calls. So you're texting. It's pretty simple. The VA is literally just going to push a button, and then see a bunch of texts come in. Boom. Somebody says that they would be interested in selling the property. Then she hops on the phone. Now it's important that you got to give the virtual assistant an understanding of what they need to get out of that conversation. And there's just a few different things that you need. So first off, obviously the person has to say that they want to sell, but they're going to need to get some motivation. Why would they ever sell the property? They're going to need to figure out timeline. When are they looking to sell the property? And they're also going to need to find out the price. Those are the three main things. A lot of people teach that you need the condition as well. I don't even have my virtual assistants go through condition. This is all I care about. This is all I care about that qualifies a lead as a lead. So condition for me and my business, we really don't get into that until the sales process, until an acquisition manager gets on the phone. So it doesn't really matter. For me, this is the main thing that qualifies a lead. If somebody has any type of motivation, boom, that thing's getting put in our system. And then to Daryl's point, there's hot, warm, and cold. They get put in one of those buckets depending on what all three of these look like together. So boom, now that the VA has an understanding of like what is a lead, she's going to send that over to you and you hop on the freaking phone. So Daryl, what does that look like?
Yo, my bad, bro. Were you talking to me this whole time?
Nah, you're good.
I lagged out, bro. I'm back now.
Yeah, I can't even see you. I'm like on the whiteboard and the whiteboard's covering.
I'm back now, bro. Where are we at?
So now the virtual assistant has generated a lead. They know how to get the motivation. They know what they're looking for. They know what type of conversation they need to have, and they generated a lead. And now it's a lead. So what has to happen at this point? You have this $1,000. You don't have a big team. You don't have a lead manager. You don't have any of that. But you got to hop on the phone. So what does that conversation look like?
You need to, like you said, bro. Are you talking about acquisitions or cold caller? Got a cold caller already sent it over.
So remember what we talked about before?
Yeah. Perfect.
This is marketing. This whole entire page that we just went over is marketing. That's the department that you need to fill up. That's the first bucket that you need to fill up. Then it's sales. Now, me and Daryl aren't going to go over the whole entire sales process and everything that you need out of the sale, but we have that on another video. But what we can go over is something briefly and what's going to happen from here on out. So, Daryl, what does that look like?
Yeah. So, with us, right? So we always want to. At first, it goes to our lead manager, right? Whenever a lead gets generated, it gets sent to our lead manager, and what our lead manager does is they take it a step further, right? They dig deeper into that motivation, right? And their job is to assign a lead to a closer, right? So what they mainly focus on is digging for more motivation and figuring out, okay, does this person need to sell? Because if they need to sell, right, we'll push them up to one of our closers. If not, then if they don't need to sell and they're just interested in hearing offers, interested in hearing numbers, right, then we'll continue to follow up with them until they are ready, right? Like we actually just got a deal locked up that we're going to wrap. And I was talking to the seller today, and she had told me, she's like, yeah, Isaiah, he was following up. He just didn't, like the first time we talked, it just wasn't the right time, right? And I told him to follow up with me on this date. She said, I wasn't expecting him to, but he called me. She said, he called me on this day, and this was the perfect time, right? And what did Isaiah do? He followed up, right? Now is perfect time. He scheduled it for a closer. The closer locked the deal up. Right. Cool. So our lead manager, they're all about like Mike said, qualifying, disqualifying. And once this person is hot and ready to go, they tee it up for a closer to come in and knock it out the park.
Love it. So the lead manager, right? And this could be you actually in this model that we're talking about, this is you. So the virtual assistant generated you a lead. Yeah. Now that lead went into, and actually, let's talk about that a little bit. A CRM. There's a bunch of different CRMs. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole, but this is where all your leads hang out. That's probably where your virtual assistant is going to want to submit that lead. But now that you have a lead, the first thing that you have to do, since the virtual assistant had a conversation, is qualify it. And we call this lead management. And there's a couple things that's going to happen. Actually, here's the question. Here's all that you need to know. Give me the rundown. So I have my lead manager ask, hey, give me the rundown of what you and Regine went over. Regine is one of our co-callers. Give me the rundown of what you and Regine went over. And then they start getting the story. And they ask more qualifying questions to figure out if this is a lead that is ready to be pushed up to acquisitions or not. But remember, what if this is just you? You're qualifying it. So give me the rundown. And in this conversation, when you get the rundown with the seller, if you realize that, this isn't really a lead yet, they say the rundown they tell you is, oh yeah, I was telling Daryl that I did want to sell my house, but we're not ready, probably not for the next 8 months or so. We got a lot going on. Plus we got a baby that's coming on the way. Once the baby is here, then we're looking to move, or I'm going to retire in the next 8 months, or whatever the case is. It's just not a hot lead, right? They're not going to be ready for 8 months. We set follow-up.
Yep.
And I don't just set follow-up. I don't just say, hey, when should I call you back? They say 8 months. Okay, great. I'll call you then. I don't say something like that. I figure out what I can follow up with. So if they said something along the lines of, I'm retiring in a couple months, I asked them about it. I asked them, okay, well, from here on out, what needs to happen for you in order to sell the house if you're looking to retire in the next 8 months? And they say something along the lines of, oh, well, I need to find a new job or something like that, or I need to find a new house or something like that. I'm going to push them to go find the new house. Okay, well, why don't you talk to your realtor about finding a new house, and then we'll have another conversation in a couple months. And they say, okay, great. So then the next conversation is easy. Hey, Mary, we spoke a couple months ago. You said that you were going to go talk to the realtor. How'd that conversation go? Now you have something to follow up with. So,
Mike, when the seller tells you follow up with them in 8 months, do you wait 8 months to follow up?
Hell no. So for us, we always ask them when they want to be followed up with, and we cut that in half.
Yep.
That's when we set the follow-up. So I would say, hey, Mary, when would you like us to give you a call back? Give me a call back in about 8 months. Okay, cool. And then we call them back in 4.
J. Cole said, multiply by 3, we divide by 2.
I like it. Okay, cool. So now you have the lead management down. But what happens, Daryl, if this is you, okay? What happens if this is you in the beginning and you're like, wait, hold on. I'm going to qualify this shit as a hot lead. Like, this thing is in the oven, bro. This thing is ready to go. What do you do then?
It's when it's time to close. It's time to close, but you still need to play it. You still need to set it up. Like you still need to separate the lead management from the close, if that makes sense.
100%.
Right. So you still need to completely qualify this seller, right? Once you realize that they're a good fit and they're like, okay, like they're hot, like we need to make a move on this. What you need to say is, okay, perfect. I would love to work with you on this, but I need to see if this even works for us, right? So let me go back to my team. You don't even got to say my team, right? You can say, let me go back and just crunch some numbers, make sure that this actually makes sense, right? And let's schedule a call for later today or tomorrow, right? And let's figure it out. Now, if this does work, if we can come up to something that makes sense, that makes you happy, it makes me happy, what's the next step? Right. So you want to kind of get a pre-close before you set that call up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of set the expectations, right? Without telling them like be ready to sign a contract on the next call, because you don't want to waste time.
I love it. So here's what I would suggest. If you had no idea how to close somebody, you never close somebody, you don't really know your numbers, you don't know anything, but you're such a badass that you got it all the way up to this point and you're like, wait, hold on. This lead just said that they're about to get foreclosed on in the next few days, and I don't know what the hell to do. This is when you go find a closer.
Yeah.
Because to Daryl's point, you have to close. You have to separate the lead management to the close. So what my lead manager does is my lead manager says, okay, great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have one of my acquisitions people give you a call in the next 24 hours. They're out on on-site appointments. They'll give you a call tomorrow morning between 9 and 11. Yep. So that's how that conversation goes. But if you're just the only one doing this business by yourself and you don't have a team, then you can twist that around a little bit. Like Daryl said, you can say, hey, let me go run my numbers and figure this thing out. Let me go talk to my business partner. Let me go do this, that, and the other. And either myself or somebody on my team will reach back out to you and help you with the situation, right? Yep. And that's when you go with a closer. And maybe you're a closer at this point. Maybe you're a badass and you understand sales and you understand how you're going to negotiate the seller down and do all the ninja stuff that closers do. Maybe you know that. But if you don't, you can always find somebody that does this for you, that can help you. So
even if you are that badass closer, you need to take time to comp as well before you go for the close.
1,000%. You want to separate these things. Don't get so excited and try to lock up the deal right away, because you're probably going to just scare the shit out of the seller. Like, wait, why does this dude want this thing right away? Like, pause the brakes a little bit, pull back a little bit, be easy. You know what I'm saying? So separate them. And then once you get to this point where you have qualified them as a hot lead, you bring them through a sales process. And this sales process is what me and Daryl have went over before.
If you want to know that sales process, hit the link in the comments. Go check out the YouTube video, because we drop gems in there. Y'all heard it earlier.
So for me, this is all I do. I don't go dispo, because there's a lot more that goes into making money from this process. So let's just say you fulfill the sales process and you get a contract, right? The deal's not over. You have to go find a buyer. For me, I never go find a buyer. I just send it off to somebody else who's going to go find a buyer for me, or I buy it myself.
Without a doubt. I think that's a great way to like lead off to the ending, bro, because it's super important, right? Like I was just talking about this the other day, right? You need to do what you're great at. Do what you're good at and find other people who are better than you at this other stuff and do it. Like with my direct to seller business, I'm not going to give out all the sauce, but I don't generate the leads. I found somebody who is 10 times better than me at that. I don't even bring the money to the deal. We don't got to talk about that, but I don't even bring the money to the deal, right? Mm-hmm. Like I literally focus on what I do best, and that is acquisitions, closing deals. I don't even close the deals anymore. I'm better. I've realized that I don't think I'm a better sales trainer than closer, but I think I could duplicate myself, and I could be a much better closer if I can duplicate myself to 5 other people, right? Make 5 other people close how I would close. You know what I'm saying? So like find what you do better than anybody else and stick to it.
So
I don't
good.
dispo either. I outsource my dispo as well. So
you don't have to worry about, because what I did in the beginning is I got through this whole entire process and I was doing everything on my own. And then I got a contract and I was like, shit, I need to find a buyer. And what did it result in? It resulted into me locking up like 2 or 3 deals in the beginning and I wasn't able to sell them. And one of them was actually a really good deal.
Yep. And you see, bro, like we planned to talk about the lead management part and the acquisitions part today, and we couldn't even get through all the way. You know what I'm saying? So like there's so many different hats that you got to wear in this business. And if you want to put them all on, that's on you, right? You're not going to go as far. You're when you do get a deal eventually, right? You will get it. It'll probably be bigger than what I'm getting on most of my deals. But the way me and Mike look at it, it's a volume thing, right? Like we're not gonna. I'd much rather take 25% of a grape and have 100 grapes come in than 100% of one watermelon. You know what I'm saying? It just, in my eyes, it's just way more productive to outsource. So
let's go.
Heck yeah.
Good stuff, bro.
I don't think
wish
they
somebody told me this
understand
shit in the beginning, because I wasted so much money in the beginning, bro. I wish somebody told me this.
That's exactly what I was just gonna say, bro. Like what we're putting together right now is literally step by step, right? Like if you search how do I get a deal, right? We're going to literally write the handbook step by step, put a playlist together of how to literally succeed in any avenue in real estate, right? Whether it's direct to seller, whether it's JV, whether it's direct to agent, right? Whether it's PPC, fucking anything, right? Anything that we have done, we're going to share the value with everybody and really put a step-by-step booklet for you to get your game on track, not your wig pushed back. Shout out to Biggie.
That's a fact. Word. Yeah, that's what me and Daryl talked about. We're like, yo, we want somebody to be able to search Wholesale Hardknocks and understand any and every aspect of real estate possible. So not even just everything that me and you have done. Like I want to bring people on here that are doing things that we aren't doing. Maybe that I want to do in the future or you want to do in the future, some multifamily or something like that. So we're going to, from here on out, we promise to provide all the real estate value as possible. You guys are going to learn every single freaking aspect of real estate, anything that you can think of. We'll bring property managers over here. We'll bring freaking hard money lenders in here. We're going to bring the whole nine. Anything you want to learn how to do in business, in real estate, we're going to teach you.
Yes, sir. And that leads us to our guest next week. We have Toddy Virtual coming in, right, to teach us how to do what we just talked about, but literally virtually, right? Me and Mike both do this. I think I do a little bit more virtual than Mike. Mike's more like in his backyard, crushing the Boston market. But next week we're gonna talk literally all about how to do this virtually, how to close deals from the comfort of your own drawers in your living room, right?
That's where you'd be locking up deals,
bro. Every day, every day, bro. So I'm super excited for next week. This is gonna be fun. Like I think I don't even think, I know without a doubt, like in my heart, what me and Mike talked about the other day is truly going to change lives, right? So we're going to continue to just over deliver for our audience, for our community, and just continue to just crush it. Mike, you got anything for us before we wrap it up, bro?
I hope y'all ready.
Let's go, baby. Hey, make sure y'all like this video. If you're not already subscribed to me and Mike's YouTube channels, the links are posted below. Subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, join live every single Wednesday, 4 o'clock Arizona, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Central. I don't know what Central is. You look it up, use Google, figure it out. But we'll be here live.
7 p.m. Eastern time is the only time you need to know.
Word. Or 4 o'clock Arizona, because we're the only ones who don't change. Word. So, yo, we will catch y'all next week. We out of here.
All right, people.